Did you know that about 500 videos are being uploaded to YouTube every single minute? So by the time that I'm done with this intro, there'll be 500 new videos on YouTube for you guys to freely watch. And the truth is, we're all on social media in some form or the other, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. But the truth is, have we ever really thought about how our decisions in the video actually influences not just us, but the people watching as well? Like, let's say I put a comment in the comment section, which is a polarizing view to most of the comments down there. Now, there might be people agreeing with me, so they put likes, comment, and then that gets promoted. And then if somebody, a neutral, sees that comment, that could influence his decisions as well. And that's something that I only realized once stepping into the YouTube space. How every single comment, how every single like, share, even a subscription can change your thinking and also the person's thinking who is watching the video. Essentially, this video's focus is about how perspective comes only when you are actually in the space. And there's a totally new perspective which you can't imagine from the outside looking in. So that's what we're going to discuss in this video. Before I started YouTube, I was probably one of the most casual viewers out there in social media. So I wouldn't like, I wouldn't subscribe, I wouldn't share, I wouldn't do anything of the sort. I would never comment either. I would just view a video, then swipe to the next one or watch the next video, and I'll just keep going like that. But eventually, once I recorded the first video, so this was before I uploaded anything. So this is when I recorded my first video back in November. I realized that there's so much behind a video. So when it goes to the editing, when it goes into recording the video, there's so much effort being put, which the people on the outside don't understand. And so when I started watching YouTube after that, I took on a totally different perspective. So it wasn't the same way I used to watch YouTube videos before, where I just watch it for the fun of it and then I keep moving on to the next one. No, I actually learned to appreciate what the other creators are doing, because the effort that they put in, especially those in the millions of subscribers, the way that they pull in their audience, the individual things that they have to do, the particulars that they focus on, is actually really deep and it's really difficult to maintain. So once you learn about how difficult it is even to make a simple video, a first video, you understand to appreciate these people and the effort that they're putting. Like, once I started on this YouTube journey, I started focusing more on the topics being discussed by the podcasters and the visuals that they use and how the speakers presented themselves. And suddenly it was like I started grasping this whole new world, which was never there before me. So I started liking, subscribing, everything, because I understood how hard it is for these YouTubers to make what they do. And some people even travel countries to make certain videos. So that's a level of dedication which we can't understand unless we're in the space or trying to do something similar. And this is something that I wanted to bring to your attention as well, because we might not see things from the outside, and this goes for even a certain person's problems. So we might see one thing from the outside where they might not be struggling, but internally they might be struggling really bad. They just don't know how to tell you. So what you can do is maybe offer them comfort, or at least try to understand the situation that they're in. Because while we might not be able to relate, because our experiences shape our character, and if we have not had the experiences that they've had, we probably can't relate. So you can't expect us to relate, but you can be sympathetic that there is something I don't know about, which he could be facing, but you don't berate him for it, but rather you accept, okay, maybe he's going through something and I'll help him through it. And it was pretty much the same thing when I started going to the gym for the first time back in 2021, I think. It was very similar because I did not know what it was like from the outside looking in. And all I thought was I had to just lift a few weights and pretty soon I'd be Superman. And that was the assumption I'd gone into, because it wasn't like any of my friends were going to the gym and they were pushing me to the gym. And it wasn't like I'd seen many videos about people going to the gym, because the gym craze on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels probably came around 2022. So that was after I'd started going. So initially when I started going, there was nothing for me to look at. All I did was just try out all the machines, and that's how I got into the gym. But eventually I understood that just lifting weights alone is not going to do you any good, because it's not just your muscles that you need to be concerned about. It's also your cardiovascular health, and that has to involve a lot of cardio, which nobody is a fan of, and I'm still not a fan of it, but it's a very necessary evil, I'd say. And I understood that you need a lot of planning behind it. So it's not just lifting weights. So you need to plan a structured schedule. You have to try different splits till you get the right one for you. And then of course there's dietary restrictions. Whether you're bulking or cutting, you'll have to change a few things. Because if you're going on a bulk, you need to meet those certain calories. Because if you don't hit that certain calorie level, you're not going to make it to the weight that you want. And same thing if you're cutting as well. If you're not strict with it, if you have fatty foods here and there, you might not get to the weight that you want. And there's a lot with the gym actually. It's too hard to compress into a 2-minute segment because there's a lot behind it and you only understand once you're in that zone. And once you keep training, then you understand the particulars that you need. And then you need lifting straps, you need all kinds of equipments just to meet your gym requirements. And then you discover new exercises, and that's how you ultimately build muscle. But initially, you can never plan what to do by just looking at it from the outside. Because like I said before with YouTube and with the gym, if I am to talk about what I need to do to become successful in either field, by just looking at it from the outside, by just observing, there's not really much I could do. I mean, sure, I could watch a few videos and they could tell me, but each experience is very different. Your experience is not going to be my experience. So what I say might work for you, might not work for you. So that's why just observing other people is not going to help you. You need to be in that place. You need to experience for yourself the difficulties that could be happening. And accordingly, you adjust, and then eventually you set the right plans and the right strategy for you to succeed. And for those of you who stayed till this point, I have a bonus tip for you guys about people and how you can deal with other people. So we know that when you actually involve yourself with a community for the first time, it's pretty hard to understand who's a good apple, who's a bad apple. Because in theory, we know what a good apple is and what a bad apple is. A good apple is somebody who is very friendly to you and friendly behind your back. And the bad people or the bad apples are the exact opposite, where they talk behind your back, talk shit behind your back, are basically unfriendly in nature generally and have this negative aura to them, right? But the truth is, once you're actually in these communities and when you're engaging with other people, you understand that these bad apples disguise themselves pretty well with the good apples, and it's really hard to find out unless you've been in multiple scenarios. So just from the outside looking in, you could make so many wrong assumptions, because I was that guy. Like till high school, till the end of high school, I was that person. I wouldn't interact much with other people, so I wouldn't know who was being truthful and who was lying to me basically. And it took me to talk to more people, engage with more people. That's how I understood that there are people who can disguise themselves and pretty well, and it's difficult to understand who is who. But with time and with experience, when you're in that place, when you're with other people, when you observe how they interact, then you find a few cues that are, as they all say, red flags and green flags. And that's how you differentiate between the two kinds of people. But let's say you're not in the zone, you're not interacting with more people. Let's say you interact with just 2 people for a year. How are you going to tell whether they are good apples or bad apples? Because unless you get very lucky, like a lottery, where they are polar opposites of each other and you can tell, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to meet 2 people as polar opposites of each other. So you have to go and talk to more people, you have to interact and put yourself out there, and that's how you understand how different people interact. Whether that's for building friends or not, at least to understand the dynamics of a relationship. Here's your main takeaway from this whole video. If you guys want to do anything at all, try to put yourself into a practice situation where you can practice it again and again, or be exposed to that situation in some way or the other. Because that's the only way that you can gain a new perspective on the issue. Because from the angle that you are, it's very unlikely that you're going to view it from a different point of view. So if you want that new point of view, you have to start involving yourself or change your position. If you're player 1 right now, become player 2 or player 3. Because if you're player 1 has that same trajectory, but maybe player 2, player 3 have different visions or different abilities that we do not know about yet. So they might have a different view about it, and maybe that's why you'll learn to appreciate things more if you're player 2 or 3 rather than player 1. So it's your time to choose whether you want to be player 1 or player 2 or 3, and that's your call. And with that, we've come to the end of this video, and if you guys like this, go ahead and like, share and subscribe and hit the bell for all your notifications. And remember to push yourself out there into things that you want to experience a new perspective in, because that new perspective will never come unless you change your situation from where you are right now to a new situation completely. And with that, see you all in the next video, and remember, never stop dreaming. See you all.
Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding from the words I spit. So sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe it.